A famous comic book hero often said, "With great power comes great responsibility." One activist was seen using his power in downtown San Francisco, scaling the walls of the city's tallest building. And his responsibility? It's all in his nickname, ProLife Spiderman. NTD's Jason Blair brings us more.
On Tuesday morning, people were stunned when they saw a man climbing the Salesforce tower in San Francisco. Police were alerted at about 9:20 a.m. after the climber reached the 60th floor. They tweeted, "He is placing firefighters' lives and the public's safety at risk," and they urged people to avoid the area. The climber is Mason Deschamps from Las Vegas, and he goes by the nickname ProLife Spiderman. He recorded and uploaded a video to Instagram while he was up there.
I'm up here climbing right now to protest Dr. Santangelo in Washington, D.C. There's been no investigation so far. The guy is out there killing babies. I think that's pretty bad. I'd like to help out, share this around.
Though his actions come right after the U.S. Supreme Court leak about Roe versus Wade, his message appears to instead be condemning a late-term abortion doctor from Washington, D.C. According to his website, a whistleblower and pro-life activist obtained the bodies of 5 murdered babies from the doctor's clinic about a month ago. He claims the bodies were not examined but instead discarded as medical waste. He wants to hold the doctor accountable. Deschamps was born and raised in Michigan. He moved to Santa Clarita, California when he was 16 and started rock climbing. He majors in finance at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. By 11 a.m., Deschamps was in police custody. Jason Blair, NTD News, San Francisco.
A recent poll shows that California parents are worried about pandemic learning loss, but the results are a bit contradicting. NTD's Eileen Ng has the data.
According to a poll conducted by the Public Policy Institute of California, more than 4 in 10 parents say their children have fallen behind academically during the pandemic.
So now we have, nearly 6 in 10 saying things are heading in the right direction, 4 in 10 saying that things are worse in the system, as well as 8 in 10 saying that the quality is a problem.
But at the same time, most adults approve of the way the governor handled K-12 education. About half of parents say teacher shortage is a big problem. Bonner noted that the results were a bit contradictory, so he did some digging.
And so while we don't ask why people feel this way or that way, you can imagine that some folks might be more positive about the overall direction given the impact of the pandemic.
The survey also found that the majority support ending the state school mask mandate, but also support requiring vaccines.
Majorities of Democrats and independents are supportive of requiring these vaccines if they're approved by the FDA, while most Republicans are opposed to that. However, as I previously discussed, we do see agreement across partisan groups when it comes to masks and the state's decision to no longer require them in schools.
In addition, Californians view preschools as important and back state funding for preschool programs. The findings are based on responses from about 1,600 California adult residents from March 30th to April 13th.
The Los Angeles Unified School District is postponing its COVID-19 vaccination requirement for students until July 2023. The move is to follow California state timelines.
The Los Angeles Unified School District is postponing its COVID-19 vaccination requirement for students until July 2023. The move is to follow California state timelines. Infection rates have been low in the school district. Between March 23rd, when the school mask mandate was lifted, and April 27th, infection rates have remained at a low of under 1%. Cases only rose following spring break to a peak of 5% when symptomatic students were tested. Many other large California school districts have opted to postpone the vaccine mandate, but not San Diego Unified School District. SDUSD plans to implement the requirement for students 16 and up, starting with summer school and for the following school year. No accommodations will be allowed. On April 29th, parents filed a lawsuit questioning the constitutionality of the school vaccine mandate. This is the second lawsuit against LAUSD filed in federal court. The CDC has acknowledged that COVID-19 survivors with natural immunity, such as plaintiffs, may have less risk of reinfection than those who acquired immunity through vaccination alone, the legal complaint states. Special counsel Paul Jonna said in a statement, "Our clients hold sincere religious beliefs that prevent them from taking any of the currently available COVID-19 vaccinations because they were either made or tested using aborted fetal cells." In February, the Supreme Court denied the first lawsuit filed over the vaccine mandate against LAUSD in December 2021, as the school district had delayed implementation until March 2022.
The new yearly budget excluded funding for internet crimes against children. In response, the Capital County Sheriff Department called on the governor to retain the funding. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Department is calling on residents to pressure Governor Gavin Newsom to keep funding for a program that protects children from sexual predators and internet exploitation. The call comes as the governor's new budget excluded funding for the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Sergeant Juan Hidalgo, commander of the Sacramento Valley High-Tech Crimes Task Force, said lack of funding will eliminate all existing teams. Currently, there are 5 task force teams dedicated to combating child sexual exploitation and abuse. The Sacramento branch of the task force has received about $400,000 annually since 2016. The branch recently issued a warrant against 24-year-old Demetrius Carl Davis. Officers uncovered numerous screen recordings of children engaged in sexual acts. Davis allegedly generated fake social media accounts portraying himself as a female child named Lizzie. He then communicated and befriended other children online, eventually coercing them to produce pornographic content, including with other children. According to forensic analysis, Davis had over 80 child victims between the ages of 6 and 13 years old. Over the last several years, child sexual predator offenses and human trafficking have surged. FBI departments in Los Angeles and San Diego recently warned of an increase in similar online predation, dubbed sexploitation. Attackers often additionally blackmail victims for money. Sacramento Undersheriff Jim Barnes said that without funding, our ability and resources to combat these heinous crimes will be overwhelmed. Newsom's office representatives were not available for comments. Lawmakers attempted to introduce a bill that would establish 4-day work weeks, but lawmakers decided against advancing the bill, citing there was too little time to fully study its implications.
Democratic Assembly members Evan Lowe and Cristina Garcia have shelved their 4-day workweek bill. The Assembly's Labor and Employment Committee declined to set Assembly Bill 2932 for a policy hearing. The refusal ended the bill's chance of progressing in the current legislative session. The proposal would have required private sector employers with more than 500 employees to pay hourly workers overtime for logging more than 32 hours a week. Garcia said in a statement, "I'm disappointed that AB 2932 is not moving forward this year, but we must continue to elevate the conversation about the 4-day work week and in general ensuring our workforce has a better work-life balance." Some economists warn that shortening the work week while keeping wages the same and paying additional overtime would kill jobs. The California Chamber of Commerce said in a statement, the bill significantly increases labor costs by imposing an overtime pay requirement after 32 hours and other requirements that are impossible to comply with, exposing employers to litigation under the Private Attorney General's Act. But Lowe said he isn't giving up on legislating a 4-day work week. He plans to hold an informational hearing with stakeholders to understand what changes would need to be made to give AB 2932 a better shot at advancing.
Beautiful cherry blossoms have finished falling and have been replaced with fresh green leaves in Cupertino. This city held its annual Cherry Blossom Festival for the first time in 2 years, showcasing a variety of Japanese traditional performances and food.
You couldn't have asked for a better day today.
Last weekend, the 38th annual Cherry Blossom Festival was held in Cupertino's Memorial Park. Despite not a single cherry blossom in sight, People enjoyed dance performances, cultural displays, and Japanese delicacies sold at food carts. Japanese-American Aiki Koto, who has lived in the United States for 14 years, visited the Cupertino Cherry Blossom Festival for the first time with his family.
I feel the Japanese culture here and there, and especially, taiko is starting, and then the song was all Japanese. So yeah, I felt, and especially it's a good weather today and a sunny day, so it feels like very spring.
He spoke highly of the cultural presentation.
If you are interested in Japanese culture, I think you can get exposed to Japanese culture, very traditional one, to the songs that we just watched, the very recent Japanese culture. So it's a great mixture of those old and new.
I'm gonna see the calligraphy here. I want to come here again.
Koto and his family looked forward to enjoying the food, but they made different choices.
I'm really looking forward to those Japanese traditional foods. Pizza.
Cupertino organized the event with its sister city, Toyokawa, Japan. Supports local Japanese businesses and organizations to maintain the community. But visitors came from all around the world.
And I want to learn more about the culture, another culture, another language. And people around the world is here, and they are interested for me.
One of the most popular foods in the festival is the Japanese street food takoyaki. Takoyaki is a savory ball-shaped cake containing chopped octopus made from wheat batter. Near the takoyaki food truck, Shinosuke Yagi, a student at Stanford, performed Japanese taiko drumming.
Actually, I never played taiko when I was in Japan, so I'm very proud that I'm able to play in a different country to the people from all around the world in the US.
He shared a little tip to avoid wrist injury for people who want to start taiko or are at the beginning level.
First, you hit the drum and use that, when you hit, it bounces back. So use that bounce back to hold the drum in the proper position and then get to another beat.
Along with food vendors, there was also a temporary koi pond, an indoor event booth, and a booth for the Japanese dog breed Shiba Inu. Johnny Zari's club, Shiba Inu Fanciers of Northern California, have supported the Cherry Blossom Festival in Cupertino for 10 years. He couldn't be happier to be back.
Thank God everything is open again. The dogs really love meeting people, so while we were virtual, they didn't get a chance to meet people in person and get pet and get loved on, so it's great that it's back in person.
Shiba Inus are the smallest breed of dog local to Japan.
This is Indy. He's a 1.5-year-old Shiba Inu. His color is sesame. It's one of the rarer colors.
Some people were waiting for companies to bring the food from the long line.
I think all of the vendors and performances are really cool because, it brings together what typically happens, during Cherry Blossom Festivals. It's, encompassing all the traditions and culture that, happen in Japan.
2022 marks the 44th anniversary of the relationship between Cupertino and Toyokawa.